Hello and welcome to the weather update. It is about 8:30 on April 21st, 2019, Easter Sunday. Hopefully you had a great Easter. It was a little gloomy, but we did get the sun out a little later on, so it was nice to see the sun and warmed up a little bit into the low 60s. Now it's dropping off again, and you can see Long Island by and large is fairly cool, but of course in Jersey it was a lot warmer. If we take it back to around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll see an even bigger difference. So while it was in the 60s here, Jersey, it was closer to 70. And I'm very curious to see what it hit in Jersey today. Let's see how hot it got in New Jersey. And how hot it still is there. Alright, so it's 59. Luckily the dew point has dropped to 48. And it hit 70 there, so it actually did hit 70. So looking at the clouds, we did get some breaks in the clouds toward the afternoon. We still got some breaks over Long Island. However, there's an area of rain over here, and we can see it on here as well, that's moving toward us and what may affect us for the first half of tomorrow, and it might linger around too. So we're going to look at the models now and take a look and see what's going to happen. And this is because we have a secondary low that's formed along the stalled front that's off to the east. And that secondary low is going to head close to our area. It looks like the heaviest of the rain would wind up affecting the east end. And this lingers it until tomorrow. Pretty much gives us a chance of rain all day tomorrow again. But then it clears out for Wednesday, and then we deal with another slight chance of rain. And then it looks like fairer weather may be coming into the picture. As we get into a drier pattern, hopefully. All right. Let's look at the NAM because that's the model I usually like to use for precipitation events. And we're gonna move this over here and see. Take a look at this system. So here it is. You can see the system's obviously formed because the water temperatures are way too warm offshore, and it contributed to this formation of this little separate low pressure system along the front. And you can see the showers here. But the NAM keeps most of the activity away from us and just mainly toward the east end, and has it a little later. It has it mostly Monday evening. So the NAM is a little different than the GFS, and if we take a look at the total rainfall in the NAM, I bet it won't be that much. So let's take a look at that. Let's see what it is. Yeah, barely anything. So it would maybe give the east end 1/4 of an inch, maybe. And most of the heavier rain, it goes into New England. So that's the NAM's interpretation of this. So we go to the GFS, it's going to be different, I bet. Yep, GFS is a lot wetter. So GFS has an inch or more rain across the east end, but still a very sharp cutoff, an inch or across Suffolk County. But then as you go into Nassau County, barely anything. So that's interesting. So the trend is generally the heaviest stuff is going to be east. That is the trend in these models. So let's look at another model. Let's look at the HRRR model. The HRRR only goes out till tomorrow afternoon, early tomorrow afternoon. But again, the same trend is showing. So I'm thinking most of us might get away with staying dry tomorrow, which would be nice. Let's look at the RGEM. RGEM's a little different now. RGEM tracks it much further west and gives us has much more rain. And now this is, I think, an outlier. I think this is an outlier because it has this much more pronounced system. There's a bias on the RGEM to just like spin up anything, and it's having the system really form. But then again, you never know. That is always a possibility because the water's warmer than it's supposed to be, so it could make for a larger system. That's always a possibility as well. Let's look at the HDRPS. HDRPS seems to track it a little further west too, and again has this almost like looking like a tropical system trying to develop. Well, we have to keep our eye on it. There's always that possibility because the waters are warmer than they're supposed to be, so that's always a possibility. And I bet that will also wind up giving us more rain to the west as well. Yep, it does. Gives us all at least close to an inch. That's the HDRPS. And the Canadian, similar thing. ICON. No, as off to the east. So I mean, generally the models with the better track record for storms keep most of the western half of Long Island dry, so that's what I'm leaning to. But then again, you have that unpredictable element due to climate change. Well, let's go back to the GFS, and we'll take a look at the temperatures and see how we're going to kind of temperatures we're going to have for the first half of this week. So as we go into tomorrow, you will see it will be warm. So it has temperatures fairly warm, upper 60s, maybe close to 70. It'll be a west wind, so there won't be a sea breeze, and things warm up even more on Tuesday. Everybody's going to be in the mid 70s with very little sea breeze. And for Wednesday, maybe it cools down a little bit because we have a secondary cold front. We have another cold front approaching then, and then it should cool off a little bit by Thursday, but still somewhat above normal for our area, and then maybe it cools off a little more by Friday. So we'll look at the dew points. I think we're done with the humidity. I hope we are. Let's take a look and see if the humidity tries to return. Not really. I mean, it gets a little damp, but not really that much. A little bit tomorrow, mainly just because of the rain being around. And then for Tuesday, it looks fairly low humidity, even though it's going to be warm. Dew points around 50. And for Wednesday, it looks like there's a little bit of an uptick in the humidity ahead of that cold front, and then we get to some nice dry air by Thursday. So I guess now we go to the skies. So here's that. So you can see that front just hung up. Ooh, doing a lot of that lately. It's the season for sneezing. You can see here's that stall front. It tries to move it offshore, but here's that system here. And it tries to ride up the coast. Almost looks like a tropical system, which is really unusual, but not surprising as we're dealing with climate change. Tuesday looks like we're going to have a good amount of sunshine. Could be a nice day, even though it's going to be warm. And then for Wednesday, plenty of clouds, and then Thursday it looks like another sunny day. So it looks like we'll have some more sunshine. It's going to be drier. That's a very good sign. So I think that is going to almost wrap up this weather update. I just want to look at one more thing, and that is the ice, the sea ice. That'll be the last part of this weather update because, you know, with all the warm air coming into the Arctic, it's not good for the ice. So let's see how the ice is doing, because it's, from what I hear, it's the ice is melting quickly, and it is. You see lots of thin ice along Greenland. A lot of thin ice in this area over here. I think this is called Svalbard. And also over here too with the Bering Strait. So we have a lot of missing ice, and the thing is, this is all thin ice, and it's going to melt very quickly because you have, remember, all those crazy jet stream patterns that brought all that warm air up the East Coast also transported heat into the Arctic, and that's going to melt more sea ice. So we have to keep an eye on this. I think this year we're going to come very close to seeing no sea ice. If not this year, it's definitely going to be in the next couple of years. So very disturbing. This is what people should be talking about, but unfortunately, people are either intimidated or don't want to talk about it because there are a lot of powers that be that just don't want this kind of stuff coming out. A lot of, especially those powers on Wall Street, that you know, they're willing to do anything to keep people quiet about any issue that makes them look bad. Well, you know, this is an issue people need to talk about because the future of this planet and humanity depends on it. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this weather update. Take care. Thank you for watching, and hope you had a happy Easter.